Welcome to the Job Fair, where we give job seekers and employers the space to tell their own stories and bring our listeners along for the ride. We're your hosts, Doug and Shauna. Let's dive into it. Hey, welcome back to the Job Fair podcast, everyone. Back at you today with a triumphant episode 10.
My goodness. Woohoo. Hey, everyone. Hey, Doug. I cannot
Shauna.
believe, as many of you may know, episode 10 is our season 1 finale, and it's been such a journey getting here. We've really enjoyed every step of the way. We wouldn't have made it without the loyal support of our listeners.
Seriously, to each and every friend, family member, advisor, social media follower, what else I got? Show guests, and of course, our listeners. We really just want to extend our deepest gratitude today. But before we dive into today's topic, I want to take a moment to also thank you all for tuning in to episode 9 from last week with our job seeker guest, Udochi Ibe. Another round of overwhelming responses, download, likes, comments. We really appreciate all the support.
Yeah, we really enjoyed having Odie on the show. Such an amazing story and such great energy. If you haven't checked it out yet, please do. You won't be disappointed.
Absolutely. Big shout out to our girl, Odie for short, as well as our first job seeker guest from episode 5, modern farmer, Mr. Steve Genty, who since the episode recording has landed a job in his career field. Shout out to Steve. Big congrats to you doing your thing in indoor agriculture.
So amazing. So glad for Steve. The Job Fair podcast effect is real, right?
I like to think so, Shauna. We on to something. So heads up on today's show topic. We were inspired by a topic actually from a recent Agree to Disagree segment. The role of social media in the job market. Something so deep, we really just decided it needs its own episode.
It's crazy too, because I feel like we've had so many great topics. This is the one that we've had unfold for us, so I can't wait to dive into it more. But before we get into that, episode 10's last round of Agree to Disagree, Doug.
Ooh. All right. X will rebound from current business struggles under Elon Musk's leadership.
Ooh, that's a good one, because I know that they're diving more into back to advertising now, putting a bigger emphasis on some of those companies that had left. I'm going to go with no. I'm going to go with disagree, because I think a lot of damage has been done already. And I think during that time, a lot of other platforms have been able to really build more with the advertisers. So I'm going to go with a disagree, but it would be okay if I'm proven wrong.
Yeah. Solid points made, Shauna. I am following every piece of it. However, I agree with this statement. I think that X will rebound due to a few things. Number one, I just personally can't underestimate, what Elon Musk, one of the greatest businessmen of our generation, is able to accomplish, even when he looks down. Number two, unfortunately, there's a pretty significant chance that Trump will be reelected in the fall. And I think that what X has become as this playground for conservatives and extremists, I think that will add fuel to the fire with Trump being reelected, which could happen. I think it's going to rebound. And I think that Elon is just too much of a force for advertisers to completely ignore. I agree.
It wouldn't be an agree to disagree for us if we agreed. Keeping strong in episode 10. You mentioned a little bit about politics there, so let's keep that going a little bit. The U.S. job market will become favorable for candidates within the next year.
I disagree for a couple of reasons. Number one, I feel like these AI wars and the impacts that it will have on job candidates and workforces at large is to be seen. I think that jobs are going to go away due to AI. And I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. Additionally, I don't see the economy changing a ton before the election, which is basically the end of the year. I disagree here.
That's fair. I do think you're right that the economy probably won't change before the next election, but this question specifically says within the next year. But I do feel like I've seen some change even from when we started this podcast a couple months ago. So I'm going to go with, I think that it will become more favorable. I agree with the statement. Now, how much more favorable? I don't know. But I do think even now the job market has changed a little bit. There are a couple more jobs, while not as many as we saw pre-COVID or even during COVID for some companies. I do think that it is slowly regaining a little bit. I also know a lot of folks who have found jobs since a year ago if they got laid off. Not everyone, obviously, but there are some. So I agree with this statement. I do think it's going to become more favorable for candidates within next year.
All right. Great points made again, Shauna, as always. All right. Next up, interest in skilled trade careers will regain mainstream appeal.
Another good one. Why? All these are tricky for me. I'm going to go with agree. I do think that those that have invested in skilled trades, while the job market might have changed and maybe they weren't as needed, I do think that people have invested time. I also think that the topic of value of college degrees and everything, I know you're not going to let me take a lot, even on our last one. I'm going to go with I agree that it will regain some mainstream appeal. Again, to the degree I don't know.
Interesting. Okay. While I like the idea and I see the resurgence of interest in this space, I disagree that it will regain mainstream appeal. I just think that we are in a full-fledged tech era. That's where the money, the real wealth is being made. Yeah, these trade careers, they're good paying jobs, they're stable, but I just don't see Gen Z or anyone younger really like en masse going back to being carpenters and electricians and factory workers. I just can't see that. I think people are, they're lazier.
I know we don't do this. We don't dive into this topic, but you know why the reason I say that I agree is because eventually people will need jobs. And I do think that whether it's Gen Z or not, there's still people that are going to have to do those jobs. And to fill those jobs, they might be higher salaries. I believe I heard like garbage truck drivers get paid over 6 figures. Like they might not be the most desirable jobs, but they are sometimes high paying jobs that people don't necessarily want to do.
So many people, you can make 6 figures doing this kind of work, but it often comes with wear and tear on your body. You got to work overtime to get to the 6 figures. I just think that the mentality, and I've been reading more about Gen Z and what some of their habits and preferences are. They value work-life balance. They value being able to finesse and use their brain. So that's where I'm coming from. You're right. It might get to that critical point where people just need jobs. So
we're going to bring this back in season 2. I want to bring this back. Yeah.
We're going to bring that back. She meant it. All right. Put a pin in it.
All right. I'll bring us to the last one. So this one's a little different. Interest and demand for communal living is here to stay.
I agree.
Who you want to live with, Doug? Who you want to live with?
I agree. I agree with this statement. I think that the boom in younger generations, millennials and younger, flocking to live in big cities and not minding having 3 and 4 roommates and things like that was the precursor to now we're seeing the emergence of an industry of like really glorified hostels in large cities like New York and beyond. I think that, it's very attractive to Gen Zers and folks who are feeling the housing market squeeze. So I fully agree.
Yeah, so I agree and disagree with this one, but I'll take an agree. So I think it depends on where you are in your life. If I don't have kids and even if I'm married, it could be more of interest for some. I question if you have families and things, but I could see where if communal doesn't have to mean living in the same house. You could have your friends living next door and then you have a community in the community and everyone helps out as well. That I could see that being something that having close people nearby, that's like your own little communal community. So I'm going to agree here that it's here to stay. And I do think that you are correct that generationally, the younger generations would favor this more than I would say older generations. That was another great agree to disagree today, Doug. Our last one. I'm going to miss having some of these rounds with you over the next few months while we dive into more of building our social media and stuff like that. I can't wait for season 2, though.
Yes. Wanted to note that for our first agree to disagree topic in episode 9 was if social media is a viable tool for marketing yourself as a job seeker. And about a week later, my stance really hasn't changed, Shauna. I'm still adjusted to the idea of using social media for anything beyond really sharing memes and vacation photos.
Yeah, I hear you, Doug. Times are changing, although hypocritical because we're using social media for job fair. So, But anyways, Gen Z is leading the way in defining how best to leverage platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, and even Instagram to connect with potential employers and showcase their skills.
Instagram. Say it ain't. All right. Yes, I've definitely seen an uptick in career-focused content that has emerged over the past, I say, few years on all of these platforms. I feel like much of it has a focus on information and advice that can be applied as opposed to directly connecting job seekers to employers and facilitating folks actually getting jobs. How exactly is Gen Z using social media to land those coveted jobs?
Yeah, I think that's just it. It's not about having a polished profile anymore. Gen Z is creating engaging content, networking with industry professionals, and even landing interviews through direct messaging.
It's going down in the DMs, huh? I've never heard of someone getting a job through DMs other than LinkedIn, but I'll take your word for it, Shauna. But yeah, it's been very interesting to see LinkedIn begin to welcome this and actually promote this content creation lane.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I've never gotten a DM for a job either. I probably would think it's spam or fake, but for sure, I think that makes a lot of sense. Sharing thought-provoking articles, insightful industry job market commentary, and even creating videos to showcase expertise are all things that we're seeing across Gen Z embrace and influence all age groups. And it's a wise personal branding investment that demonstrates knowledge and passion, if you ask me.
It's definitely branding 101, 100%. Makes a lot of sense to me. Employers want to see and get the sense that you're genuinely interested in the work and industry that you're in. Yeah,
exactly. And let's not forget the power of networking. We've talked about it a lot on this show. Gen Z is using social media to connect with people in their desired industries, building relationships that can lead to job opportunities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Curating those really niche communities is the theme in social media, as we know from we learned in our big tech days. Okay. So I'm going to go back to bad cop for a second, though.
Right? What a shock.
What about the risk of oversharing on social media? We've all seen those posts that probably should have stayed private or may have legitimately been just misunderstood or misconstrued.
Yeah, I think this is a valid concern across social media, Doug. Generation Z is savvy when it comes to social media etiquette. They know how to present a professional image while still letting their personality shine through, though.
Yeah, it's great. It's all about finding that balance if you can find it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And authenticity is key. It's important to be mindful of what you share and how you share it.
Definitely. So what are some of the platforms that Gen Z is using most effectively for job hunting, would you say?
Goodness, I do not know the Gen Z market very well, so this is just from what I gather, but LinkedIn is still the gold standard for professional networking, but we're seeing a rise in the use of Twitter for industry discussion. So I guess this could go back to your agree to disagree question. Instagram for showcasing company culture, and then TikTok for relatable, in-depth advice and testimonials on the job market experiences and strategies for success.
Awesome breakdown of each of those platforms and how they shine best. Yeah, for sure. The TikTok stuff, I'll say, is super fascinating, though. I did see a recent article in The Economist that basically referred to TikTok as Gen Z's LinkedIn, which, again, they're going to TikTok for more so the advice and the hacks. They're not really landing jobs like you can on LinkedIn. But anywho, it sounds like some combination of these social media platforms is becoming the one-stop shop for many job seekers.
Yeah, it's really pivoting. I also think what will be interesting for season 2 is what will happen with the TikTok ban, and then how will this impact Gen Z and kind of that job market in the future too. But in many ways, it's still a place to learn about companies, connect with professionals, and ultimately find your dream job. Dream with quotation marks.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. So for all our listeners out there, what's the best way to get started with using social media for job hunting? General question.
Yeah. And again, I guess first and foremost, polish up those profiles. Make sure that they're professional, up to date, showcasing your skills and experience. Do not just put the company did X, Y, and Z. We don't need to know what the company did. We can look that up, right? And then start engaging with content, connecting with people in your field, and sharing your own insights.
Absolutely. It sounds like social media is no longer just a place to connect with friends and family. It's a powerful tool for career advancement, but please keep your hygiene up to date. To Shauna's point, clean up those profiles, remove any weird tags, delete any controversial tweets because they could be dug up.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. That's the reality of the Gen Z job market. Social media is their secret weapon, and they're using it to land incredible opportunities and influence the millennial or Gen X vets in the process.
Yeah. All right, I'm convinced. All right. It might be time for me to brush up my LinkedIn content game, up those content creation skills. And yeah, I think I'll go ahead now and let me grab my phone and finally download TikTok.
As the ban happens, right? No, it's never too late, Doug. PSA for job seekers, all generations, don't underestimate the power of social media. It could be the key to unlocking your career, your dream career.
Indeed. All right. And on that note, we've come to a tear-jerking milestone in our show's journey. This concludes season 1 of the Job Fair podcast, everyone.
Indeed. And we did not plan for this season to end with the official start of summer, but we definitely don't mind it.
Oh, yeah. Summer in New York City is definitely a special thing. But we will remain active and engaged on all socials and continue to actively scout new guests for our upcoming season 2. So please make sure you lock in with us on Instagram, TikTok, X, and LinkedIn to stay in touch.
Yes, please come chat with us. Hang out with us.
Yes, we're going to be dropping content, hacks, episode clips, everything. We're going to be true to what we just discussed, 100%. All right. And don't forget, please, everyone, take a second to check us out at thejobfair.com. That's FARE. Shoot us a message. We'd love to have you on our virtual set next season to share your career or your company's valuable and unique story.
That's it from us, folks. Episode 10. That's a wrap for season 1 of the Job Fair podcast. You know what we do.
Cut.
Deuces.
Bye, everyone. Have a great summer, everyone.
Bye.